The legislative session won't begin for months, but already one of the most contentious issues they will face this year is producing controversy and debate. Oklahoma's civil asset forfeiture laws have allowed law enforcement to seize millions of dollars in cash and property, and more often than not, file no criminal charges against anyone. Both sides of the issue faced off this week at the University of Oklahoma School of Law.
State Senator Kyle Loveless is the primary sponsor of Senate Bill 838, a proposal that he says would make changes to preserve constitutional rights. There have been numerous cases in Oklahoma where no one was charged with a crime, but yet property or money was seized, in some cases costing thousands of dollars in attorney fees for people to get their property back. Loveless's bill would make many changes, including who would decide where the seized property ends up instead of the current situation where it all goes to law enforcement agencies and prosecutors. A major point of disagreement.
A citizen oversight board that will be housed under the Attorney General's office that will be made up of law enforcement and lay citizens. And they will determine through a regular grant process, the money will be determined in three main areas: drug treatment, drug courts, and drug interdiction.
Oklahoma City Police Major Bill Weaver says seized assets go directly for training and equipment for their special drug crimes unit. Without the money, he says, they would either have to shut down that unit or hit taxpayers up for more cash.
There would have to be some way to raise the taxes and bring in the money to fill that void. And, drug traffickers are more and more advanced each and every year, and it takes a lot of training and a lot of expensive equipment to try to keep up with that problem.
In opposing the proposed law, Major Weaver dismisses instances of abuse of the current law as not representative of how most of the asset seizures are handled.
I honestly do not believe that there is any problem with misuse of asset forfeitures in Oklahoma. Are there anecdotal cases? Sure, you're involving human beings here. There's a mistake somewhere, but there's a wealth of ways to address that.
But police relying on seized property to pay for their operations is one of the main reasons supporters of Senate Bill 838 think change is needed.
You've got a risk of effectively turning cops into collections agents, and that's a problem. That's not what police are there to do.
Brady Henderson is legal director for the ACLU of Oklahoma. He argues that claims of any changes to the civil asset forfeiture law benefiting drug cartels ignores reality.
There are numerous people out there who will talk about big seizures. Here's where we seized $500,000. Here's where we seized 50 pounds of marijuana. What I have never, ever seen is the evidence that says, here's the drug cartel that went out of business because of it.
Henderson says what Oklahoma seizes, that is actual drug money or drugs, amounts to peanuts to the cartels.
These are incredibly big and sophisticated multinational corporations. I can guarantee you we're not going to take them down taking a few dollars out of a car every little bit. We're going to take them down by going after the actual people, or by changing how we do drug policy as a whole.
First Assistant Oklahoma County District Attorney Scott Rowland sees the core of the debate this way. Knowing that drug cartels are using Oklahoma highways to run drugs and money, should we leave the current law alone or change it?
Is there abuse to the degree that we should scrap the current laws, knowing that it will, in some measure, great or slight, benefit the criminal organizations? Is there sufficient evidence out there to warrant that? I submit to you, no.
And Police Major Bill Weaver argues that seizing money and property from people involved in suspected criminal activity does impact many local neighborhoods across the state.
That money goes to fuel those cartels, and it puts drug houses in our neighborhoods and drug dealers on our street. And if we take it, then we hurt those cartels and hurt those drug trafficking organizations, and we use it to provide money and training and equipment for law enforcement.
Senator Loveless says his bill would make sure that seized money goes to address the very issue of local neighborhoods by redirecting seized assets to pay for drug treatment and drug courts, along with drug interdiction.
That takes away the idea and the concept, and even the misconception or perception, that there are agencies and folks out there doing things to grow their own agencies.
Oklahoma prosecutors are facing major budget cuts this year and next, and less than half of the cost of running their offices is already paid for by state government. The rest comes from fees and fines. Increasingly, local police and sheriff's departments are also facing cutbacks and have also had to rely on fees and fines to keep operating. A fiscal situation that sets up a major fight over who continues to get a share of all that money and property that is gathered up in the name of fighting crime.